Out of all of Noble Team, Emile was the only one not to show his face, to never take off his helmet. Why? Of course, neither did Noble 6, but like Chief, they were purposed to be a vehicle for the player, so it only makes sense not to show their face. But after looking deeply into this, I found some really surprising answers that I never expected. So here is why Emile's face has never been seen, plus why his helmet was carved into, and what the meaning behind that is. So let's go ahead and get into it. It's gonna be a fun one, guys. This video is supported by Audible. Be sure to snag yourself a free Halo audiobook, link down in the description. Fact: we never seen Emile's face in the entire game of Halo Reach, and there seems to be almost no reason for it. Emile is almost universally loved by Halo fans, but why? And I think these two things tie together because I think he has a sense of mystery and instability that other Spartans only allude to, where he completely owns it. In Halo Reach, the first time we see Emile, he's that creepy dude in the back of the room sharpening his blade. Okay, that guy's crazy, right? That was my first reaction to it. So let's actually explore that and look into Emile's past. Emile is a Spartan 3 born on March 11th, 2553, and he died on August 30th, 2552, meaning he died at 30 years old. Now, Emile believed that under the circumstances of the Covenant War, once humanity and heart had to be forgotten if they were gonna win this thing. And like many other Spartan 3s, his parents had been killed off by the enemy, but actually had been killed off by an insurrectionist group. During the fall of his planet, Arindius II, his older brother, who had actually been his caretaker for some time, sacrificed himself so Emile could get away and survive. Now this all had a powerful impact on Emile, very powerful motivator, and his Spartan 3 training, well, this gave him the heart to excel and kick the crap out of the Covenant later in his Spartan career. All meanwhile, he had been killing the Covenant to fill the void left in his heart from his family's death. Emile was greatly respected by his peers and is described as being oriented and unbreakable, an efficient killing machine, a true Spartan. But despite this, he is noted on Bungie.net, original Halo Reach marketing, that he had more difficulty interacting with non-Spartans than others in Noble Team. One comment says that they would wish he would reel his audacity back about 24%. His behavior makes it hard for him to field against insurrectionists. I also found this is pretty interesting stuff. A Spartan named Rosinda almost took Emile's place, not only in Noble Team in Halo lore, but also in actual development of the game, as she was originally planned to have a large role in Halo Reach, likely taking up space where Emile would have been. Okay, so that was his past. Before we get into why he's never taken his helmet off, let's talk about his helmet first, alright? No other Spartan I can think of in all of Halo lore has ever carved a skull, let alone pretty much anything, onto the very expensive, and by the way, very important visor. So why is this here, Emile? Obviously, this was his doing, as Spartans are usually encouraged to customize their stuff, but why this? Well, first, Spartans can see through their visor despite cracks and distortions maybe caused by carvings through exterior cameras and things such as that, which also explains why Chief had no problem seeing through his visor once cracked by Locke. Well, Halo Waypoint actually clarified exactly why Emile decided to mutilate his helmet, and it's this: Emile was often guilty of overkill, but his apparent sadism, meaning his instability and craziness, was actually his desire to impress those around him. Well, the scratches on Emile's visor were quote-unquote victories, which I think is another word here for kills. So each of the hundreds and hundreds of marks and scratches that Emile put on his skull counted as a kill. And this was done to basically ultimately intimidate the Covenant at first sight during a combat situation. I think many Halo fans, including myself, just assumed Emile all this time is this mentally unstable, crazy Covenant killing lunatic that happened to be a Spartan, and an expression of this was him never revealing his face or taking off his helmet. He's just that guy in Noble Team, right? Well, Emile not revealing his face even once during the entire campaign, I would say wasn't laziness by Bungie's dev team. Rather, it was a character trait that was being subtly expressed. Emile isn't shy, and his skull carving on his helmet should be enough evidence to prove that. Rather, Emile is simply unwilling to be seen by his enemies and even his allies, such as Noble Team. By that, I mean he was unwilling to show vulnerability. In fact, during gameplay, Emile will say, if you look at him long enough, you look almost as pissed off as me. Somewhat alluding to that Emile is driven not by instability or craziness, maybe a little, but rather by raw anger. And to further elaborate, I believe that the reason why Emile never removes his helmet is to basically hide his emotions, such as fear, loneliness, dread, and even anger. In fact, the reason why he is so aggressive and loud in combat, according to the official Halo lore via Waypoint, he is wanting to prove everyone, including himself, that he is not afraid of the enemy, nor afraid of doing whatever it takes, whatever is necessary to win this war. This all ties into the official reasoning for his helmet carving that we talked about earlier, which bottom line was to show he wasn't afraid of the enemy. Thus, he wouldn't want to show his fear to his comrades, Noble Team. So if that was confusing, in essence, I think Emile is just trying to be the cool guy of the group, but there may actually be a much more simple reason why he never removes his helmet at all. From Bungie's original concept art of Noble Team, Emile, unlike the rest of the Spartans, bears some grim burns across his face and scars. Now, it could be simply that Emile refuses to show his face to others because he is slightly mutilated and, from either insurrectionists and or the Covenant, and that might for whatever reason express to him that they won. Perhaps Emile is just embarrassed, or rather, much more likely, and what I personally believe, is that he is ashamed that the enemy has had such a toll on him. If Emile is trying to flaunt his success, then psychologically there must be some shame there too, and I believe his face is evidence of that. Now, this is concept art after all, and all of Noble Team's faces have changed from this moment in development, as we can see everyone except for Noble 6 and Emile, so we really don't know how much Emile would have differed from this concept art, but likely quite a lot. And honestly, if Bungie ever even modeled and put Emile's face in the game, we would have a better idea of what he looked like in the final version, what is more lore accurate, but really we have no idea what he looks like. This was just simply concept art, and he was intended to be African American, and he was played by an African American voice actor as well. But that's pretty much all we know about what he looks like. But honestly, I think that they were going in this direction, and most of them look pretty close to their final iterations, so I would say that Emile probably would have been much more scarred in the final version, or aka the lore. Another completely different theory why Emile remains hidden in Halo Reach is that basically he's one of the only smart people in Noble Team, the other one being Noble 6, as there isn't really much reason to take your helmet off at all in an active war zone like Reach, so maybe Emile was just being careful. Of course, Kat's helmet didn't do her much because she got shot through the head, although her shields were off, but I don't know, maybe Emile was just being cautious here. Maybe that's why he never took his helmet off. You never know when to be careful, although that doesn't really explain why his helmet was on in the first cutscene, so I don't know. Like Master Chief, I think it's unlikely we will ever get a clear idea of how Emile looks like. Maybe way later on, 343 or another company will remaster Reach and do an anniversary edition to it and actually have Emile's face in the cutscenes, which I think would be pretty cool. But for modders looking for Emile's face, I really don't even think it's in there. I don't even think they bother modeling it at all beyond the concept art stage. I mean, even in the tribute room in Halo Reach, his face can be seen on a screen, but only the same concept art that we see here, but more obscure. Moving forward in Halo's universe, I think we should all be very curious to see what 343 Industries might do with new Spartan characters. Now, we got a large roster of characters in Halo Reach and a large roster of Spartan characters in Halo 5, but none of them really stood out like Emile did, and he was really just a very interesting Spartan. He had very interesting design, and something about him just laid out well in Reach, and I really love to see a crazy Spartan, a Spartan that's maybe a little bit unhinged in Halo Infinite. I think 343 failed a lot with the agent lock hunting down Chief, but to see a Spartan go unhinged that Master Chief has to track down and stop and maybe try to get a control of, I think would be something really cool. And to see a character like Emile, but really unhinged, really crazy, and perhaps a little bit of a loose cannon would be something really cool, I think, in contrast with Chief's character, especially essentially where we are with his current development. Friends, if you ended up enjoying, then be sure to hit that like button if you ended up enjoying and learned something new. And if you want more Halo news and lore, then subscribe. It's free. Hit that notification bell if you do end up subscribing, because you get notified as soon as a new Halo lore and news video drops here on this channel. So yeah, join me on the journey. So guys, why do you think Emile never removed his helmet? Let me know your thoughts about all this down in the comment section below. I'm very curious about your theories, and thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one soon. Peace.